Hi everyone, it's Messy Jesse. And as you can tell, I watched the TMZ, Fox, whatever TV special they had called Who Killed Michael Jackson. It was such a two-sided coin special. They had the bastard Conrad Murray on there. And as you can tell, that bastard did not take no responsibility for doing what he did and being a part of taking away such an incredible life. He didn't. He fucking lied throughout the day. AEG during their deposition video lied throughout the thing. You can tell who was siding with Murray. Who was? I mean, they didn't. I mean, there was a lot of things that wasn't touched on with Michael. Just if you're gonna do a special on something like this, you gotta mention the fact that not only did his hair catch on fire and that he was in pain from that, but they didn't touch upon the fact that he had vitiligo and a long-term strand of lupus, and his body was constantly being attacked by the lupus. Most people with lupus don't survive as long as Michael did. That's why he did the one charity for lupus, because of the fact that he had lupus. And they kept saying, "Oh, he came out of it all drugged, da 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 da," and stuff like that. But the footage that they showed of Michael, other than that one audio, didn't prove the fact that he was drugged. Kyra Murray's like, "Oh, he was lethargic, he was weak, he was." The footage that they showed for the "This Is It" did not show that. Didn't show that he was weak, that he was out of breath, that he was this. It showed that he was stronger than ever. He was. The footage showed that he was ready to do this. Yes, he was thin and stuff, but he wanted to do this. Do this for his kids. He wanted just do. Only the one person that was looking out for him during that time was Kenny Ortega. Kenny Ortega was a good friend of his. He sent that letter to AEG and everyone requesting someone to take care of Michael, to get him a psychiatrist, to get him some help, because he's seen his friend dying in front of him. He knew that man was dying, that he needed the help, and no one looked up to help. I mean, there's actual physical emails and paperwork and stuff that state that AEG was paying Murray and everything to take care of Michael. It wasn't Michael paying them and stuff. And they were just like, "I've never seen this. I didn't. Not wanting to take the responsibility. And then at the end, they showed him saying, "I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have not done that." He should have went right on and said, "I want to apologize for what I've done to the Jackson family, to his kids, to the fans all around the world." No, has he not once apologized for that? No, he has not. I mean, I feel sorry for Debbie because she's an innocent bystander in this, because of the fact that she had to make a living somehow, you know? And she had to listen to her boss, Arnie Klein. And Arnie Klein was only doing what he liked to do and what he was trained to do. But I think that celebrity game got to him, you know? Um, and he was a nice guy. He was a friend to Michael. And I appreciate Elizabeth Taylor for trying to get him clean. And he did get him clean. It was him. And they did not mention, if I was Elton John, I'd be pissed at this special myself too. Because it was Elton John and Elizabeth Taylor who got him into rehab to clean himself up in the mid-90s. Okay? Because Elton John seen how he was going downhill, and he talked to Elizabeth and told Elizabeth, you need to, I know a good place to, yeah. They did not mention that it was Elton John. They took it upon and said, oh, it was Elizabeth Taylor. No, it was Elton John telling Elizabeth Taylor to take him to this clinic to get him clean. Okay? TMZ didn't do their job there. Okay? And he was clean. He was clean for a long while until A&G and stuff, and all these people that came into his life later on. He was cleaning up into a certain point when he knew he was getting ready to do this concert, so ready to do these things and stuff. And the stress was getting to him, so, and stuff like that. And his excellent, what got me with Dr. Murray was the fact that in it, a doctor's responsibility to try to take up when taking on a patient to know the patient's medical background and not go second guessing on how to take care of the man. Did he not send him for testing like MRIs, EEGs, the works to know what he's dealing with? I mean, you know, he worked in the past with these certain doctors. Why didn't he go to these certain doctors and get his medical history? Go to his family. Say, what's his medical history with that? Because I want to make sure I'm taking care of Michael right. No, he did not do that. He was a negligent doctor that was getting paid by AEG. And his explanation, oh, Michael pushed the needle into him. He jammed it. I'm like, I wanted to punch him through the TV. How can someone who is that sedated, and they didn't talk about the fact that he wasn't just on propofol and Demerol. He was also on other antidepressants and sleep aids that were supposed to have helped him, deal with the pain and go to sleep. It is in the autopsy and medical records and everything that the fact that he took about 5 or 6 other drugs before propofol. They're making it seem like he just took propofol that night. No, he had other prescription drugs in his system. Okay? And they didn't freaking talk about that. TMZ and these doctors did not talk about those drugs. That he took one drug, waited an hour, and took another one. Waited an hour, took another one. Waited an hour, took another one, and then finally gave him the propofol, which was the nail on his coffin. It wasn't just the propofol that fucking killed him, okay? And then, after giving him all these sedatives within the 4-hour period or so, He goes and walks out the room to take a phone call when you're supposed to be watching him or have someone watching him while you're at the room. No one was there to watch him on this powerful drug. Okay? And then on top, they didn't talk about the fact of how Conrad Murray didn't even know how to fucking do CPR. And he's supposed to be a heart doctor. There was no respirators, no machines to help him breathe if something happened, if his heart stopped or whatever. No face mask with the pump. No clear, nothing. There was nothing protecting Michael from negligence here of the doctor. I mean, and then I find it funny how the security tape of that day gets either erased or goes missing. So we only have to go by what is in the paperwork and what Murray says and what the people around Murray says. And then on top of it, Murray was caught in a warehouse with his secretary or receptionist or whatever, burning paperwork. Does that scream innocent to you? No. And then he's still practicing. He's still doing his job as a doctor without official paperwork stating that he can be a doctor. His certification was taken away. Isn't that illegal for a doctor to practice without... I mean, the medical board took his certification away. And he's all, oh, my poor me, I was in a cell. And, well, I screamed at the TV. Well, you shouldn't have killed the most famous man on the planet and took away a father figure to 3 kids and a brother, aunt, and a brother, uncle, cousin, nephew, or whatever, to the rest of the family and everything. I mean, he was not paying attention to what, and he's like, oh, I was weaning him. He was almost. If he was off, then how come there was audio during that time period where he sounded like he was fucked up, like he was drunk or out of it, and he had the nerve to fucking record him while in that state, and then having so much fucking propofol being sent to him to his girlfriend's house. I mean, if I was the pharmacy and I'd seen how much drug is being shipped out to one person, I'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. No, you hit your limit. No, this pharmacy wasn't. It's okay. We'll give you freaking 3 months worth for a month's worth of a human being. I mean, they did not question that. They did not question Conrad Murray. They did not send red flags to the medical board about this doctor. Asking for so much propofol to be sent to a girl's house instead of going to his office. I mean, it's just a lot of questions. And then he goes and not takes, and you can tell he does not take responsibility. He's constantly blaming Michael for it. Michael was only doing what the doctors were telling him to do. He was asking for relief so he's not in pain and so he can sleep. And the doctors were willing to freaking give him this stuff instead of trying to find other ways around his pain. And Michael would have probably been willing to fucking find some other way of fucking finding a way to sleep and freaking being out of pain. Okay? emotional pain, physical pain, whatever pain he was in. He would have went with it because there was even before going with Dr. Conrad Murray and all that, he found a nurse, which they did not interview, by the way. This 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 one nurse that actually took care of his children and did not give them any freaking prescriptions or anything. She did it herbally, and these kids was sick with the flu and stuff, and she took care of them. And he liked the fact that this woman was doing that. I don't know what happened to this woman, why they didn't interview this woman, this nurse practitioner or whatever. Because she was interviewed years ago dealing with Michael and his care. I mean, this was bashing Michael and his drug addictions, bashing a dead man. Instead of saying, yeah, he had trouble, he had psychological help, he was in physical pain. This is the reason why he was in physical pain. No, they made him sound like he was a fucking druggie. And these doctors were helping a druggie, kill himself. They didn't portray him as a human being. Who was a father, who was a brother, a cousin, a nephew, a grandson. He was a human being. Who only knew how to earn one way of life, and that's to perform in front of the public. He always felt loved with us. That's why he considered us family. The fans' family. We were more family than his own family. Okay? I would have busted through them. I would have found a way of getting through to him. Some way, somehow. I would have went on TV. I would have fucking did something to say, we need help from the fans so we can get an intervention. I know when he's out, you guys can hold him at bay while we grab him. We need the help from the fans. And we would have helped. We would have helped if we knew for the fact that Michael was at death's door. He was that bad. Seriously. No one other than Kenny Ortega cared. And his kids. But his kids were so small at the time. Not one person stepped up to Conrad Murray, to AEG, to all these doctors and said, are you sure he should be taking this? Should he be doing this? I think this is a little too much he should be taking. Why is there Gatorade-sized bottles of propofol? No human should be taking that much. He should be in a hospital taking this, but no one, not one person. Because I would have been the one person saying, I don't think he should be taking this much. I would have been another one worried about this man. He was a natural treasure, a wonder of this world that was taken out because of greed from doctors. Because doctors wanted money. They didn't care about the person. They only cared about the celebrity of it all. The money, the glitter and gold. And he had yet to apologize to the kids or the fans or the family. None of these doctors did. And they listed all these people that died because of negligent doctors, and not one of these doctors came out and said, I'm sorry for killing that loved one. Not one. No, they're sad because they don't have that money anymore. Oh, and they talked about his kids and everything. I'm like, the only reason why he was with them was because of the fact that he was in the red for child support for how many kids, and I know it was just more than one or two that this man had. Okay, he was in the red for child support. That's why he went with Michael, so he can pay the child support because he was not paying child support to any of these kids. He wasn't a good father figure for his own kids. That should give you a freaking warning right there. No, they didn't look at the background of that Carmen Murray. No, it was a bashing of Michael and calling him a drug addict. And I'm sorry, my mom was on prescription pills and stuff. So is she a drug addict? She was on opioids and stuff, but she was on it because of depression and bipolar and everything. She was on uppers and downers and everything else. Is she a drug addict? Like, I mean, half the prescriptions other than the Demerol and the Propofol, he was on the same thing as my mom. Because I've seen the autopsy report and it lists the prescriptions he was on. And most of those prescriptions my mom was on. So is she a drug addict? TMZ? And I think at one point she was on Demerol. Because she would have panic attacks and shit. Michael was like my mother in so many ways. I mean, he wasn't being regulated. He was not being regulated by a responsible doctor. If he was, he would still be here today. Okay? He could have, he did ask for Propofol, but the doctors could have said, no, too dangerous. We're not going to give you this. We'll give you something that ain't going to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? I know it will help you sleep. And Michael would have probably went, I'll try it. You know? I just need something to help me sleep and calm down. And, you know? No. They're making it seem like, yeah, I want this. I want this. I want this. I want like he was 5 years old and a drug addicted and he was a drug addict and which he wasn't. He wanted to be around for his kids. He wanted to be around for his family, especially be around for us. And it just makes me sick how people love talking bad about a dead man who tried his best while he was alive to be everything everybody wanted. Okay? He just wanted someone to love him. Okay? They didn't talk about the child abuse that he went through as a child. Didn't talk about the fact that he started so young in the entertainment business that it took away his childhood. I mean, they didn't really talk about any of that. They just talked about his addiction to Demerol Propofol. They didn't talk about the other prescription drugs that he was on. What prescription drugs he was on? No. It showed that all these doctors wanted a part of Michael. And as a celebrity, you have to have different aliases. Because you don't want people going, oh, this is a prescription for Lindsay Lohan. You know? And go to the freaking press and say, look at what Lindsay Lohan is taking. That could ruin someone's career when the pill is prescribed for maybe having mouth surgery, like a wisdom teeth taken out or something. And it's a painkiller, and people are going to say, "Oh, she's addicted to this." No. And then those tabloids run their stories and stuff like that, and make up lies and shit like that. And that would ruin celebrities' lives. I don't know. This wasn't making Michael look good. They made him out to look like a drug addict when he wasn't. He was addicted, yes, but he wasn't a drug addict. And I find it very insulting that they put Whitney Houston up there with Corey Haim, Brittany Murphy, and all that, when we all knew that wasn't prescription drugs that she died on. She died of a cocaine overdose and something done with her heart. It wasn't. She didn't die of prescription drug overdose. She died of having cocaine, heroin, and stuff like that in her system, and having a weak heart. She didn't die of a prescription drug overdose. If anything, they should have, instead of having Whitney's picture up there, having Anna Nicole Smith's picture up there. They did not show Anna Nicole Smith's picture when they were showing how many people died and stuff. No, they didn't talk about Anna Nicole Smith, now did they? No, when she's one of the top people that fucking died of a prescription drug overdose. My best friend, Brittany Murphy, died of prescription drug overdose. Didn't even die of prescription drug overdose. She died of pneumonia, and she didn't go to a doctor in time. So I find that insulting too. Okay? And people think that the mother killed her. And no, I know Sharon. I know Brittany's mother since way before Clueless. She was at Broadway Bound with her daughter. And let me tell you, those two were the sweetest human beings on the planet. She wouldn't have done nothing to that daughter. She worshipped the ground that girl walked on. And I find it insulting about that. Okay? That they claim she died of prescription overdose. When she didn't. She died of just being sick and not going to a doctor. Okay? Do your research, people. Do your research.